Fools in Fiction. This time the fiction is a 2018 movie called Time Trap. God,
2017.
I've already fucked up. 2017? Okay.
Yeah.
That Finn and myself watched alongside, I think both Chris and Cody were there. No, Chris had to
wasn't
bow
there.
out, I think.
Chris had already seen the movie.
Yeah. He had?
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue.
And Cody had seen a little bit of it.
That is not the point. That's right, because Chris had watched it and Cody had heard it in the background. I now recall.
That was the situation.
So
wait, was it just us watching it?
We watched it.
No, Cody also watched it. Right.
No, I think Cody was there.
I love how we have no memory of who watched this. This was maybe 2 days ago. This was not
2 or 3 days
in the distant past. But who knows? Time could be weird.
So we watched it because we were like, well, what do we want to watch? Because we didn't want to get into a show. So we were like, well, we're in a sci-fi mood. So we were going to watch...
God, I had
do you remember the name of the toy movie?
It's half an hour of me compiling a list and narrowing it down and adding to it and doing research for some reason. And
then we picked nothing on that list.
Yeah, we were like, Time Trap.
We just found Time Trap on accident.
I want you listeners to think, just based on the name, what do you think Time Trap is like? What do you think the quality is? All right. It turns out we can't hear you.
Have you thought about it?
Maybe talk into your microphone a little louder. All right, I got you. I totally agree.
It's
the.
Is this therapy time with Davey 504?
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, this we went into this movie if you look up any we hadn't seen trailers or anything, or all we had seen is the Netflix cover poster thing, and I think I had heard that I should watch it at some point, but the impression I got is that before watching the movie is that it would be kind of a half high concept good, half kind of crappy movie, a kind of fun, kind of maybe
boy
low
does
budget,
it deliver on that,
sci-fi. I thought it would be so the premise of the movie is that there's a mystery cave, which is one of my favorite premises. I have written 2 games about that premise. But
Undertale has that premise.
Undertale does have that premise. But this is a really mystery cave because there's time shit happening. So it's there's this Professor Hopper, and he's ooh, there's a spooky cave. There's some shimmery. It's got some moisture in the air, and there's a cowboy inside. And then he goes missing.
I forgot part of the I forgot part of the crucial information is that they can feel where the time thing is, and it's moist.
As we were dissecting this plot as we were watching it, we kept on referring to it is he in the time? Is he out of the time? It was some good language that was developed. But anyway, he's he goes missing, and so 2 of his students and then 3 other people who are younger go off in search of him, and they go into the mystery cave, and they can't find him. But they leave behind the youngest of them, who is a tiny child named Furby. I should mention at this point the writing in this movie is pretty awful. Just the dialogue
it gets better, I promise.
It does, but I think that's because they talk less as the movie goes. I mean the dialogue writing, not the. Oh, sorry. Let me turn off the AC real quick. Sorry. The dialogue writing, I think, the actual story writing is great. I think it's just the dialogue. It just doesn't sound like real people would be speaking it. Maybe it's part of the acting. But anyway, Furby is left behind, and he starts vlogging. And the others who went into the cave aren't Or here, let me tell this from the perspective that we see in the movie. That's a better idea. They go into the cave, all their ropes snap, they all get injured. And they're like, oh shit. They radio Furby to get them out.
They think Furby fucked them.
Yeah, they think Furby cut the ropes. But they try and radio Furby and he's not answering. They're like, oh, that's weird. So they kind of like go off in search of Hopper, the professor. And they find, excuse me, there's a few little shenanigans. It becomes very apparent that no one in this group is going to communicate with each other, which is a trope I hate. And
they're fucking awful at it.
It's
incredible.
They're always like talking over each other and then recording things on video and watching the videos. That's like the main, like the modus operandi of these people. So they find Furby's dead body in like the next room. It's like, oh, holy shit, what the fuck? And they find his camera and it turns out he had been vlogging and they had been missing for like a day and Furby didn't know what to do. So he went in the cave after them and his rope also snapped and he fell down and died. And they're like, oh shit, oh fuck. And then it's like, it like is like genuinely sad watching the kind of like history of it. And for some reason they watch Furby's death like several times in the movie, which is strange. Mm-hmm. But the mysterious thing that Furby saw right before he died is that when he went down into like the hole he was caving into, the sun was doing something weird and kept on getting
the word you want is spelunking.
Spelunking, thank you. He was spelunking into the sun, like kept on getting brighter or dimmer or like moving or something weird was happening. And so they find that spot and they look up and it, lo and behold, it's still happening. And by this point, the audience is like, oh, of course, each time the sun gets brighter, it's a day, and it gets darker, it's the night, and time is going faster on the outside than on the inside. And that's how it is. And we're like, okay, they've kind of like blown their load 20 minutes into this movie. We kind of already knew that this was going to happen exactly like it does, like from the moment we saw the cowboy. And we're like, okay, I guess this is just how it is. Like, I kind of wish that like they hadn't spent so long like having the characters realize something that was so obvious to the audience. And then several things happen, and this is where the movie
plot twist.
This is like the plot twists that came were not just plot twists because they were weird things that happened in the plot. There are things that were weird to happen in like the genre of the movie, or like what we assumed had been the genre of the movie, which is kind of crappy sci-fi. It turned out to be good sci-fi that had kind of the flavor of crappy sci-fi. So what the first thing that happens is one of them climbs up to the surface, and you think, oh, they're going to be in this cave the whole time. But no, one of them just can go up to the surface. She climbs up, and it's like the fucking Dust Bowl up there. Trees are gone. There's like this gigantic storm on the horizon. The sky is just gray, and then she looks up. The one who went up there looks up, and there's this giant ass triangle in the sky. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, did you have any idea what had happened? Like, what was going on?
I comprehended it as, oh, they're in the far off future.
Which like, was the case.
I was very confused as to...
But like,
but I was still confused as to, like, why is there a triangle here?
Because we were so, like, certain that each time it got brighter from that hole and darker from the hole, it was a day. And so, like, they've only been down there for, like maybe a year most or something. Like 35 days or something. Or 365 days. I know that a year is 365 days. And then they look back up through the hole. They're like, wait, holy shit. It's not the sun going up and down in an arc. It's the sun, like, kind of... I wish I could show you, podcast listeners, but, like... It's the perihelion? What is it? Like the line that the sun traces in the sky? The word? It's the... Let's assume that that's the word. It's the perihelion. Like the hole getting brighter and darker is the perihelion lining up with the hole and then lining out, like not lining up with the hole anymore. So every time it's getting brighter and darker, that's a full year. And that was like, oh! Like, like you think that this is like a like going into this, you think it's like a one moment. You think it's like a schoolhouse, nope, a magic treehouse like adventure, like they're gonna go on some twists and turns and then they find Hopper and then they get back and they like celebrate Christmas or something. But like they are fucked. They are in the far future. What the hell? And then I think that the next thing that happens, is it the caveman next or is it the like space guy next?
I think it's the space guy next.
This ladder.
Well, no. So you missed something.
Oh, I did?
They find out something in between this, which is that they look back at Furby dying again, and they find out that someone killed him.
Yes! He was murdered.
With, like, a blunt rock.
Yes.
So that was, like, a big twist, was finding out that Furby was murdered. He didn't just, like, fall to his death.
Yeah. So they're thinking all this stuff. They're figuring it all out. And then this, like, futuristic-ass ladder comes down the hole. And Future Man comes down, and you're like, oh my god, Future Man's going to explain everything. And then he's attacked and killed by cavemen immediately. And then the cavemen are coming after them.
He also doesn't speak English.
Yeah, he doesn't speak English, and his like helmet falls off, and he can't breathe the air. And like he uses his like last bit of breath to like show them a movie about humans going to space. This movie is like has like there's a phrase that Shayna Merker used to say a lot. What was it? It's not go hog wild. It's go ham.
Is it buck wild?
No, just go ham.
Oh.
This movie went ham. It so they're like running from the caveman, and they find two things. One, they find the literal fountain of youth. And so like as they were going into like this cave, they're like, oh, I get, because they knew that Hopper was looking at it in the first place for two reasons. One, he was trying to find his hippie parents. Two, he was looking for the fountain of youth, and they are like, oh, I guess if time goes slower in here, it's like you stay young forever. But no, they find like the literal ass fountain of youth that heals people from the dead, like also in there. It's unclear if they're connected. But
no, well, at this point it's unclear. Spoilers.
Yeah. So like they are connected, right? Somehow.
Yes.
It's like the same moisture, but like when it's in the air, it like does time stuff, and when it's not, it heals you from the dead.
Who knows?
That's one of the things
they are connected, bottom line.
They also find Hopper, who is looking at, guess what? Another time in there. I say time in the sense of like a zone of time. Like an even deeper like time thing in there with more frozen people in there, and it's like all sorts of like there's like a war there's like a war going on inside the time, and Hopper's like Hopper's also like about to die for some reason. He's like
he got shot,
by
and or stabbed
the caveman or the whatever, the guy with the gun, cowboy,
the conquistadors.
Yeah, the conquistadors are also there. So Hopper's like, this is a system set up. It's got the 7 layers of time to protect the Fountain of Youth, and you have to go through each layer. And it's like, oh, holy shit! What a setup! I don't quite know what that means. And then the cavemen are still coming around, about to kill everyone. And then one of them gets killed by the cavemen, and then they try and shove everyone into like a spring that is connected to the Fountain of Youth to heal them, and it's not quite working, and everything's gone to shit. And then one of them is trying to climb up, and it's like, or no. At some point, the hole that had the perihelion. I'm gonna Google if that's actually what it's called. Perihelion. The point that it's not the perihelion. What is that called? Line sun draws across sky. That is the ecliptic. Yep. So like the hole that they were seeing the ecliptic move in and out of frame on just suddenly turns blue, just like solid blue. and they're like, what the fuck? But they don't have much time to worry about it because they're getting killed by cavemen constantly, and Hopper's dead, and everyone's dead, and the future man is dead. The conquistadors are there. The cavemen are at large. They have a gun now, or something, and so they're like trying to climb up towards this blue light in the hole, and fucking mermaids grab one of them and pull her up, and everyone else falls down and almost gets killed by cavemen. But as they're falling, the one who got pulled up by mermaids, by the way, the hole is also upside down water now. She comes back instantaneously because time goes faster on the outside, and is like super cool in the future now. And she's like, I got you, or something. And she like sends out like grappling hooks, super grappling hooks on everyone. And the grappling hooks go around the cave and they find everyone. They even find Hopper. And they pull them all up into the water. And then everyone...
And Furby.
Yeah, and Furby. And everyone, even the dead people, or the people who were dead, awaken on... like in these little pools on like some sort of very clean, bright space. And they come out of the water. And everyone's like, what the fuck? And the first girl who got pulled by the mermaids is like, we have a lot to talk about. And then they look out the window and they're actually in space on the triangle thing. And then it's like, and the movie ends. So that's how time travel goes.
Finn has missed a couple of things.
Yeah. Fill in the holes.
Specifically, the main guy or whatever, not Hopper, but like the guy that is exploring it, gets fucking killed by cavemen.
Taylor.
Yeah. And the space giant just throws him in the pool, and he comes back from the dead. And so, they throw Furby.
Right, that's why they get that idea. Yeah, I
as
forgot.
well. And Furby comes back from the dead as well.
Well, only at the end, I think, not immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, they take his I guess he comes back from the dead, but he doesn't wake up until he's in the spaceship.
Yeah.
Is what I think I recall.
Yeah, something like that. It's unclear when exactly Furby is dead or alive. But, were those the things that I missed, or was there more?
I think that's it.
So just like... It's like what the fuck happened? Like
I agree. What the fuck did indeed happen?
Like, on one hand, like, this isn't a sci-fi masterpiece, but this is the writing is pretty bad throughout. The acting is not great, but like the fucking concept and how they committed to it and just like had weird shit that made sense happening constantly was so cool. And it's like set up for a sequel perfectly, but that's never gonna happen because the movie like bombed. But it was just like the fact that they didn't Magic Treehouse come back to their families, like they all literally, like all their lives actually got changed forever, like, and they went into the far future. That's cool as hell. That's crazy. Like, it's I think that the big thing that I'm getting from this is when media, like when a piece of media shocks you in its like just how different it is from what you expect, how like far it goes compared to like the genre conventions or what you perceive to be the genre conventions, it can be like a spectacle for sure.
And the really interesting thing about this movie is that every second you watch it, it gets slightly better.
Yeah. That's also true.
Like it is, and if someone came down from the heavens and said that that was the intention of this movie, I would believe them and be like, that's crazy cool. But like, Time Trap is not a masterpiece in that, like, you watch it and you're immediately like, this will be the greatest movie ever. It's that it's like watching someone completely fucking whiff, like, every time they're up to bat in their baseball career, and then, like, on their last day, just hitting home run after home run. Just like, this movie should have been awful. Like, it should have been the worst thing I've ever seen. Because it starts out very, like, bad sci-fi.
But like that moment that like you think that the thing is going to be like, how are they gonna get out like this whole time? But then like they just do, and it's like the world is fucked. That was the biggest, like, and then the triangle, like the whole like framing of the movie is just so much bigger than you expect it to be.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing too, because I think a lot of sci-fi movies are, like, scared of doing a big thing.
Yeah. Or like, they have...
like, scared of going outside of... Like, it's just, like, a lot of things have, like, their purview. Like, Mystery Caves, you stay in the cave until the very end, is, like, one of the big things.
It's like you've gone into the cave. But they just
get out of the cave, and they're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because another minor thing we forgot is that Hopper leaves the cave after a bit.
Yeah.
Like, he goes in for a little bit, and then he comes out, and, like, there's trees everywhere, and his car is dead, and it's been overtaken by nature, and shit like that. And then he goes back in, which is, like, kind of like a horror type thing where you're like, no, you big dumb idiot, why are you going back into the obviously fucked place? But on the other hand, it's like, you gotta find out what's in the mystery cave.
Exactly. And like, I did not expect the thing. I thought that it was going to be like, I thought the things inside the mystery cave were going to be like a Cube 3 kind, or no, a Cube 0 situation. I know you haven't seen Cube 0, but it's like, oh, time space continuum, like things are moving weird. It's like you walk into a room and like you've already been in this room, and oh no, and then there's like time travel. But no, this was like the things inside this cave were more layers of time, cavemen, cowboys, conquistadors, and future man, and the things outside of the cave were the fucking barren earth. It just like, good shit. I think is the summary.
I especially think that, like, this movie had so much potential to do such cool shit, and, like, failed, but not for, like, it wasn't that the idea was bad or that, like, there was, like, incompetency or anything, because they obviously know how to make a good movie, what with, like, the last 20 minutes of this movie existing. But they also... Hold on. My dog is barking because apparently UPS is here. He will cease in a second. But I, like... Dusty, please, I swear. I love you, baby, but you are ruining the vibe of this podcast. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Oh, just that, like, this movie would have won Oscars if, like, Kubrick had done it, or if Spielberg had done it. Which is, like, a really interesting feeling to feel, 'cause, like, I don't think I've ever seen a movie that had a premise so good, that I was like, if someone had done this better, it would be, like, award-winning. 'Cause, like, you know, I think kind of avant-garde films like Primer, you know, have won their awards, and they were never designed to, like, win an Oscar. They were designed to go to film festivals and win those awards.
Right.
But like, I think this movie definitely could have been like a mainstream huge success if like they had big name actors and they had like a big budget.
By the end of it, it feels
cool
like the
to think
beginning
about.
of like
And
a
very, like-
some sort of like superhero franchise or something.
Yeah, it's very depressing that this won't get a sequel because this fucking rocked. Like, what a great idea for a story, and then it just like because God is a fickle master, like it just bombed at the box office.
Yeah. I think that this is the perfect movie for a remake.
Yeah, I
Just,
think
like-
give it 10 years, and then we'll be like, when is the remake?
Like have exactly the same like visual style and like the exact same plot, just have like the direction and the writing and the acting be just like a little bit better. And then it's like an absolutely solid movie.
I could not agree more.
What else do we have to
Do you
say
want to
about
say
Time
anything
Trap?
else on it, or are we?
This could be the shortest episode ever.
How long is this episode?
We've been going for half an hour.
That's not terrible. I think some of our earlier work might have been shorter.
Our earlier work. Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think our
We
first
now
episode was like
have a
20
body
minutes.
of work.
We do. It's true. I still haven't listened to last episode. I've been a little busy. Anyway.
We need to see if we can get put in the I almost said in the Smithsonian. Oh my god. I have no brain cells.
Yeah. I guess before is there, if there's anything else you want to talk about with this movie, I want to do that, but I have something else if you're done. That's not about this movie.
Oh, I think one thing
Yeah.
that is like a criticism of the overall arc, and this is like my one small thing, is that the characters kind of suck. Like,
Yeah, they kind of
they
really
don't
do.
really have any good. They don't have like any good defining characteristics, or like they don't really have a character arc. And that feels like bad for me to say, but I definitely like watched this movie and I was like, okay, this is like, these are two blonde girls, one random like moderately attractive guy,
And then the children.
and then this 13-year-old child, and then Chunk from the Goonies, which they make a joke to in the fucking movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot that.
Which is like, there's a difference between like parodying yourself and being self-aware, and then like just blatantly being like, we stole this character.
I think kind of like maybe a
I know.
lesson.
I think that.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. All right, we're a little desynced audience if you can't tell.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah. That's why whenever you listen back to us, if there's like a pause, it's because I have said something and it hasn't reached Finn.
Yeah, or vice versa. I guess also vice versa. Like, both of those
Yeah.
are happening. One of oh shit! Wait, did I? Sorry, were you going to say something and then I talked over you and then I stopped and then and then you were gonna say something?
I was just gonna say that, like, there would be very good sequel bait if they just told us that they were going to develop their characters in the sequel.
Yeah. Yeah. A lesson I kind of get from Time Trap, and this is something I was thinking about when I've been working on this year's Lake Anna movie, is even stuff that isn't perfect, even stuff that has big flaws, if you're like committed to a concept, like it's often like really worth doing. Like Time Trap is a movie that is like worthy of existence for sure. Like the world is better because Time Trap is in it, even though it was not like competently made except for the last like 20 minutes. And I think that that's kind of inspiring for people who maybe don't have all the skills that they wish they did and they want to make some kind of art or some kind of movie making, especially. Like there's a lot of value that comes from movies that are not fantastic but have really good elements. And speaking of that,
and I think that's like,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to close with an idea.
Oh no, yeah,
like,
go ahead.
I think an opposite argument for like movies that might be fundamentally well done, but like don't have a reason for existing. So like, a lot of like sequels are like this, like Bad Boys for Life or
where they just don't have like that heart.
Yeah, like we're on how many Fast and Furious movies? And it's just it's not the same. 'Cause, you know, I think like when you keep making a sequel or you make remakes, like all the Disney live action adaptations like fucking suck. And it's not because the inherent story is bad or that it is not made with like a high budget and big names. It's just because like it doesn't need to exist. Whereas Time Trap, like for all of its flaws, was at the very least a story that needed to exist.
Yeah, Time Trap earns its place in the world for sure. Even if it has a hard time getting there.
Yeah.
I wanted to, as a final thing, pretty unrelated to Time Trap, promote the Like Anna movie for this year. So my cousins and I
promote it.
Are normally we have for the last 10 years, I think. Yeah, 10 years, made a movie when we've gone to Lake Anna every summer. But we weren't able to do that this summer due to the virus. So instead, we have made an album. It is 10 tracks long. We're about halfway done with it right now. But by the time you're hearing this... Wait, that's tomorrow. For some reason, I thought there was like a 2-week delay or something. In about 2 weeks, or definitely 3 weeks, I think, this will be out. And I'll tell you all in some future episode, probably next episode, where you can find it. But we've done about half of it. It is, I mean, not to toot my own horn, and I mean, I guess I'm not because I'm working on this with my two cousins. It's pretty good. It's like pretty good. So if you like music, I recommend this. It's mostly EDM, with some like absurdist vibes at points, but I'll talk a little bit more about that when it is actually out. I'll read you all read you all the track list as we have titles for right now to hype it up. Compass, Silly and the Moist, and then 2 tracks we don't have names for yet. A Voicemail, Midnight, track we don't have a name for yet. Face the Music, and then 2 tracks we don't have a name for yet. Those are the... we don't have a name for the album yet, either. But it's gonna be a cool project.
I would really love it if like you had all of these deep, thoughtful names for all of the tracks, and then you were like, "Shit, what do we name the album?" And it's just like Poggers or something like.
It's going to be something.
Stupid.
It's going to be something supremely stupid. I know, but it's going to be fun. Anyway, that did not fit. I guess that the connection to Time Trap is this series, Like in Adventures, a series that's getting better with sequels, that has had heart starting out but bad quality, and the quality has improved. So like it's something, it's an experience that Time Trap deserves but will not get, for it was underfunded. Or not underfunded, it was poorly received. Yeah, I think that's our episode, right?
Yeah. Plug time?
Plug. We've got a subreddit, reddit.com/r/foolsandfiction. Email us at foolsandfiction@gmail.com. Let us know if you want to be on the podcast. We would love to have you. It's been a while since we've had anyone. Leave us a rating and review on iTunes / the podcast app. Is that it? Oh, listen to the other podcasts on the William & Mary Network at Spreaker.com/user/PNWM. There are definitely some other good ones on there.
That is correct.
And
I had forgotten.
I believe
Shame on
that
me.
is it. Oh, that's so weird. It just got dark in like 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes. Whack.
Oh,
Time.
God. The world is ending. All right. I must finish the custom. I must end them. Goodbye. Please, for the love of God, turn the podcast off.